SEC fans never cease to amaze me. The rivalries that are built around college baseball, especially, never ceases to amaze me. Today, I was just going about my humble business, not doing much. As Will Smith would say, was just relaxing, all cool, just shooting some b-ball outside the school, not doing anything. And today, I had the great privilege of getting into it with Tennessee fans. And what is interesting about the Tennessee fan base was, and this is where it all sparked off, Tennessee got a commitment via the portal or via just a commitment, I guess, from Tyler Myatt. Have no idea who this kid is. Maybe he's really good. Maybe he's not. I have no idea. But when the kid committed, he said this when he committed to Tennessee. People say LSU is the powerhouse of the SEC. I don't really believe that now. Just because Tennessee has been at the top team for the last 4 years, no matter what. They haven't been the top team the last 4 years, Tyler. LSU, the last 3 seasons, since Jay Johnson has been here, since LSU got a new head coach, LSU went 4-1 against you in 2023. Now, they struggled against you. You were the national champion, and tip of the cap to you. LSU went 0-4 against you last season. This season, they're 2-1 against you and have the ability, if you make it to the College World Series, and so does LSU, that will match up against one another yet again. LSU is 6-5 against you in the last 3 years. And Tennessee fans were like, well, why are you only bringing up the last 3 years? Because we had a brand new coach. Oh, and by the way, LSU's got 7 national titles to your 1. When you talk about the powerhouse of the SEC, which it is a direct shot at LSU to say the powerhouse, these Tennessee fans come out of nowhere. They come out of the great mountains, the great Smoky Mountains. They come out of everywhere. Oh, no, Tennessee runs college baseball. The fuck you do? LSU is 6-5 against you in the last 3 years. You both have the same national titles. What are you talking about? The only argument would be that LSU's got one on your ass. In 2023, 2 of the games that LSU beat you in was in Omaha when it mattered the most. Guys, there's one thing that I will die on the hill on. The thing that I will die on the hill on, is that LSU baseball is the powerhouse. LSU baseball's expectation every single year, and some years it's not going to happen, and we understand as to why. But you have Omaha expectations every single year. Tony is the reason that built up. Maybe you're in your abbreviated Skip Bertman era, but do not get it twisted. When college baseball became a really big deal and a really big thing, it was on the back of Skip Bertman and what they did. Guys, the 2000s went into that, and the popularity grew into that on the back of Skip Bertman. Where? Then Paul Mainieri wins a national championship, gets to another. You bring in Jay Johnson, who, guys, if he wins this super regional, will have been to 4 out of the last 8 full seasons he's been to Omaha. He lost a national title at Arizona, and then he won one at LSU. This guy's one of the best head coaches in the country, and he's building off of that. And by the way, his biggest mentor is Skip. If you want to come out here taking shots, if you want to come out here and say, no, we're the blue blood, buddy, no, you're not. You're not even – it's like the argument with Mahomes and Tom Brady, and this is even a little bit more than a stretch, about who's the best quarterback of all time. Well, the stories aren't going to ever be written. LSU has 6 more national titles than you. 6. Do you want to talk about how many more Omaha trips they have? Super regional wins? Tony Vitello's been there longer at Tennessee than Jay Johnson has been at LSU. Taking a shot at this place when they came down here and got their ass whooped in a Game 3 series rubber match, and they got run ruled because Luis Hernandez, the Puerto Rican pistol, hit an absolute piss missile off the wall, and you got run ruled. Guys, LSU to take what would be, hey, last 3 years, who's the better team in the last 3 years? Who is building a better situation here? Is it Jay Johnson or Tony Vitello? In that rubber match over the last 3 years, LSU run ruled them. Guys, you might see him in Omaha. You very well might see him in Omaha. Guys, over the last 3 years, LSU has more wins over Arkansas, Tennessee, Ole Miss. So say whatever you want about LSU. Say whatever you want about Jay Johnson. Some of you come in here and say that you want him fired. But how can you say that you're the powerhouse when you can't even beat the team that you're trying to take it from, and they own the record on you over the last 3 years? How? It played itself out on the diamond. It never ceases to amaze me. Ever. Ever, ever. Now, here's the thing about Tennessee. Tony Vitello, whether you like him, you love him, you hate him, you despise him, it doesn't matter your emotion towards him. Here's the truth. Tennessee's a really good program. And there's a very strong chance that they can go into Arkansas and win the thing. They have enough talent to win the Super Regional in Fayetteville. They do. And if they do, good on them. And if they don't, good on them. But to act like that they're not doing some good things in Knoxville from a baseball perspective is also idiotic. You got to point out the realities. And the reality is, well, LSU under Jay Johnson has had their number in the last 3 series. When Jay was able to build this thing in his image, 6-5. 6-5. How else do you determine it? Based off of, and by the way, in Jay's worst year, he got to the SEC tournament final and lost to you by a run. In his worst season. Listen, man, here's the outright truth. The outright truth is this. Nobody is taking the mantle from Bama in football. No one is taking the mantle from an SEC perspective in basketball from Kentucky. No one is taking the mantle from you in baseball. They got a lot of shit that they got to do before they can ever do that. Guys, look at the Intimidator. What is this place? It is the mecca of college baseball. So to any Tennessee fan that wants to run their Rudy Poo having ass in here, it's not going to work on this show, and I will debate it until my dying breath. So, yeah. By the way, have y'all noticed this really cool hat that I'm wearing? I don't know if y'all saw the post. Our good friends, now we'll be running all their ads and stuff coming up. But our good friends, Steven and Little, and all our friends over at Section 103. Guys, I tweeted and sent the link out on Facebook. Y'all got to get over there. The LSU apparel at Section 103. Just type in on Google, Section 103. The apparel over there. Guys, it is impeccable. This hat, guys, y'all know that I'm a massive hat guy. An absolutely massive hat guy. I wear hats on the show more than anything. This hat fits so comfortably, and I think it's so badass. So badass. So, Section 103. We tweeted the link out. Go over to our pages, and you can get that. But this thing's fire, dog. Like, look. Perfectly fitted. Got the section 103 inside the hat. I have my new favorite hat. I'm not taking this thing off. Now, they sent some more I'll probably wear, but I freaking love this hat. Freaking adore it. It's awesome. All right, let's get to a couple comments here. Bo Porter is in Alexandria. The 318-31 great in the building. Paul Decker says the 225-504 in the house. I love, guys, I got to tell you, I absolutely love when y'all come in here. I love when y'all come in here. And y'all I don't even have to say anything. You come in here and you tell us exactly where you are. Alex, hey, Blake, Corpus Christi, Texas, 318-31 great is where I'm from. Jamie Post in the building. I think she's in Raleigh. I think the 336 North Carolina, 318-31 great is where she hails from. Where are y'all watching from tonight? Where are you watching from tonight? That's the big question. Zach Sanford says, where can I get that hat? Go to Google or just type in section 103 and you click the first link and you'll go to the LSU page. You can buy it right there. I did not do a promo code. Other ones did promo codes. Don't do it. Go buy the hat. But they're good friends of us. I know our good friend Bryce Coon's doing it as well. Section 103, man. Absolutely. I love their stuff. I'm going to be wearing their shirt this weekend. Their apparel is insanely awesome. This hat is insanely awesome. Insanely awesome. I love everything about it. Mark Bacchino is in the house. Good to have you in here, Mark. Winston-Salem. That's right. Winston-Salem's in the house, says Jamie Post. LSU Hyper Ninja on YouTube says, hey, Blake, love that hat. See, I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you. David says, first thing I noticed was that. Y'all got to go over to section 103 and get y'all one, dude. And they got a shitload of apparel over there. Got to go do it. All right. Let's get into it. So, listen. We're going to take a little bit of a deviated path. The deviated path that you and I go on tonight is something that doesn't necessarily completely revolve around LSU, but that we got to talk about on this show. We talked about it a lot on our National College Football show, Ruffino and Joe. Tonight, we got to talk about the narrative surrounding college football as a whole because it massively affects LSU and can massively affect LSU. After we come back from the break, we're going to talk about this proposed playoff stuff and why it's a big deal. I see a lot of people over at Fox. I see a lot of people over at CBS, the Big Ten, who is backing what the Big Ten wants in a automatic qualifier 4-4-2-2-1 model. I'll explain that when we come out of the break. We'll talk about that. Also, one more thing about West Virginia that we need to get to, then some LSU football talk. We might do that right after the football playoff talk. One thing I need to clarify. I actually should probably have led the show with it, but I didn't. Carter, Brian, and myself got in a heated debate last night, and I knew every time that we talk about me and Carter get on one specific topic, the hate mail that comes my way is very intense. Tonight, I'm going to clarify some things. And I just feel like every time when I get this many level of DMs and this much level of hate in reference to something I say, I'm going to clarify it. We'll do that tonight as well. So, and if we have time at the end, we'll get you some of your thoughts, questions, concerns. Joel is in the 985. Brad is in the 985. Gotta love it. Gotta love it. Speaking of Joel, he says, do you think Blake Baker has his guys this year? This LSU defense might be bad. I think he might have his guys, man. I think LSU might have his guys. Travis Shuttleworth says, Blake, when is the LSU deep dive on Ruffino and Joe going to be? Great question. This is what we did, Travis. Joe wanted to do it 2 weeks ago, and I told him no because we were going to get to it after the baseball season. We were going to get to it after the baseball season because I know this place. We do an LSU deep dive, ain't nobody going to listen. We did it last year, and everybody's like, it's baseball season. So I'm like, all right, sounds good. So it will be after that. All right, got to come back. We're going to talk about the playoff model. We're going to talk about how that affects LSU. Guys, in 2023, it would have massively affected you if you go to 14 and 16 games. We'll get to that in just a moment. Also, Oh, I told you what we're getting to. I told you. But we're going to get to it right at it. It would have massively affected you in 2023. It would have been to your detriment. So we'll speak on it. All right. Let's get to it here. Everybody do us a favor. Hit the like and share. Share to all those groups if you're on Facebook and to all of those social media pages. You're watching us, listening to us on YouTube. Like, subscribe, notification bell. Wherever you listen to podcasts, rate, review, and subscribe. Let's talk about our good friends over at betonline.ag, our good friend Tyler Alexander over at LPT Realty, our good friends over at Grand Slam Heating and Air. Stay with us. We got lots to discuss.
BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way for you to wager on all of your favorite sports, contests, events with the first-to-market odds and lines. Find reviews for all the news for each league, including Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, college sports, esports, and even golf. BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all of your sports information for live in-game betting, props, and futures. Head on over to BetOnline today and use your mobile device to join and make your first sports bet. Use our promo code BELIEVE50, that's BELIEVE50, BLEAV 50, to receive your 50% off welcome bonus on your first deposit. That's betonline.ag, betonline.ag.
He will sell your house and find you a new. Well, Tyler's the man, he's here for you. If you want to buy or sell, well, it's not too late. Dial 955-0008. Just call 955-0008. Y'all call Tyler, he'll shoot you straight.
Guys, let me tell you about our good friends over at Grand Slam Heating and Air, where your comfort is their top priority. At Grand Slam Heating and Air, they promise to provide customers with high-quality HVAC service at an affordable price while ensuring the homeowner peace of mind. From their office to your home, they guarantee the best hassle-free experience around. Efficiency and comfort is their game. Let them make your home Grand Slam today. At Grand Slam Heating and Air, they're offering their annual maintenance plan starting off at $18.75 a month and also doing those $99 tune-up promotion. They provide free estimates for system and ductwork replacement, as well as offering financing to get the job done with no money up front. From Baton Rouge to Hammond to Covington, they're all around. So what you need to do today, give them a call at 225-380-9065. That's 225-380-9065. Or go over to their website, getgrandslamair.com. That's getgrandslamair.com, where your comfort is their top priority.
We're back.
Okay. Listen, there's something very important that you and I need to discuss. I know some of you want specific general LSU content. We are going to tilt this tonight on what we're going to speak about into LSU content some, and why, from an LSU perspective, the new college football playoff model needs to be set up more of an at-large. But it is of my humble opinion that the two proposed playoff selections, or formats, I should say, there are two that people are looking at and what they want to implement. In case you've been missing it this offseason, which there happens every offseason, new rules, regulations, and massive changes happen during the offseason when it comes to college football. None bigger than potentially the expansion of the college football playoff, but especially the format of how they want to lay that out. Let's talk on that just in case you missed it. There is a proposed solution for the college football playoff to be what would be an automatic qualifier format heavy, meaning that 4 SEC teams, 4 Big Ten teams, 2 ACC teams, 2 Big Ten teams, and 1 group of 5, and cutting it off at 14 total teams in the playoff. So the SEC would get 4 teams in. The Big Ten would get 4 teams in, no matter what. Absolutely no matter what. Those 2 conferences combined are getting 8 teams. The ACC and Big 12 combined to get 4 teams into the playoff, and then you have a group of 5 scenario and 1 at large. I think going to a playoff system since the playoff has been expanded is absolutely, to me, the wrong way to go. The reason that I think it's the wrong way to go is because there will be years where either the SEC, the Big Ten, wherever, the Big 12, the ACC, where they have down years. This past season alone, we saw situations with teams that went up against different conference opponents, or different opponents in other conferences, mainly due to around Clemson. Guys, Clemson played Texas and lost. They played South Carolina and lost. They played Georgia and lost. And South Carolina, who beat Clemson on the field in a competitive record with one another. One team was left out because one team played a tougher schedule than the other. It's why the ACC would only get 2 teams into the playoff. It's why the ACC and Big 12 agree with the SEC on a different model. The reason why, in my humble opinion, that the format with mostly all automatic qualifiers would be an issue. Simply look at what would happen this year and the way that some of us disagreed. But look at what would happen last year. Let's say that you go to a 4-4-2-2-1 plus 1 model. Let's say you go to the AQ model. Guys, last year, coming out of the SEC, would have been Texas, Bama, Georgia, and either Ole Miss or Missouri. So you had Missouri, who was 10-2. You had Ole Miss, who was 10-2. So either one of them would have been on the bubble or would have been into the playoff. Well, what do you do with Ole Miss or Missouri? Now, the argument there would be, Blake, the SEC, Big 12, Big 10, Big 12, some of these conferences in the conference week, they're going to do what they call play-in games. So if Ole Miss and Missouri face off, and then you have your championship between Texas and Bama, which would have been last year because I know Texas went in the Big 12. But whether it be Texas and Bama, whether it be Georgia and Texas, whoever it would have been, one of those teams is getting a qualifier. Georgia would have already been in. Texas, Bama, and Georgia would have already been in. But the play-in games for some of these lower teams, what do you do there? Is Ole Miss and Missouri the only teams that need to play one another? Who plays Bama? Who plays these other teams in these playoff scenarios? That's something that you need to figure out. But regardless of how even last year in an all-AQ model would have gone about, regardless how it would shake out, the argument for me is never, it has never been, and will never be a conversation about the SEC versus the Big Ten. My issue is, in the Big Ten last year, they would have gotten Michigan, Ohio State, Washington, Penn State in. We're talking about the 2023 season because we remember what happened in 2024. We remember and know what last year's playoff would have looked like. We know now, as we're talking about it, what 2023 would have looked like. Here's the problem of why I have a massive issue with the qualifiers. It's got to do with other conferences. Guys, if last year we would have had the AQ model format, Oklahoma State would have gotten an automatic qualifier into the playoff, along with maybe Arizona or Kansas State, whoever would have won the Big 12. Guys, in 2023, Oklahoma State lost to South Alabama 33-7. They lost to Iowa State 34-27, and they lost to Central Florida 45-3 at the end of the year. Then they lost the Big 12 title game to Texas, our Big 12 title game. They lost to Texas, and I understand, but conferences have realigned. I'm assuming, because they were there, that they win. Whether it had been Arizona, Oklahoma State, they still get 2 qualifiers into the playoff. The problem that I have is with the Big 12 and the ACC, those teams having locked-in spots. Because if you go to 2023, if you go to 2024, the teams that got in my humble opinion, which Arizona State got a bye, I don't think Arizona State or Oklahoma State in this regard deserved to be in the playoff versus some of these other teams that you would have left out. Think about this. So for some of you LSU fans, guys, think about the 2023 season and all of the chaos that it brought. Let's talk about it for just a moment. You lost to the SEC champion in Bama. You lost to the ACC champion in Florida State. And you lost to a playoff team in Ole Miss. Sounds good. Oklahoma State gets into the playoff after their 3 losses come against South Alabama, Iowa State, and Central Florida, who, by the way, Central Florida was not a great team, and they only scored 3 points. When we talk about this era of college football, I have labeled it the era of equality because the era of equality has brought NIL. The era of equality has brought the transfer portal. The era of equality has brought that we think that some of these conferences deserve a spot over other teams that are in other conferences. I know what some of you are going to say. Well, Blake, hold on. We can't just be a generalized SEC versus Big Ten. I understand that. The problem, though, in saying not wanting to be regional is that, guys, it's always been regional. The playoffs in football, since it's been enacted, has been regional. The problem with the automatic qualifier is you're going to allow other teams and other conferences that lost to SEC teams, and in some situations like Oklahoma State in 2023, guys, they lost to 33-7 to South Alabama. Versus if Oklahoma State is a 9-3 team that gets into the playoff, are you going to keep Jaden Daniels and that offense out of the playoff and put in Oklahoma State because of equality? Now, luckily, the Big 12 doesn't agree with the AQ model. Guys, I am sorry, but there is no way that you can look at last year. There's no way that you could look at Indiana and SMU and say to yourself, just because South Carolina, Ole Miss, and Bama went 9-3, it does not equate and equal what Arizona State, SMU, and all these other teams are having to go through. Now, think about this. In 2023, Louisville, the Louisville Cardinals would have gotten the ACC's second bid in an all format if you did the AQ format. Louisville got beat by Kentucky at the end of the season in 2023. The problem that I have here is that I don't know if some of these conferences have enough to say, hey, we deserve to get 2 in. Now, maybe the ACC can do it if Florida State bounces back, Miami bounces back, Clemson stays the same. Maybe they can do that. And maybe the ACC should say, no, we got 4 teams that we think that on a good year can make the playoff. All right, sounds good. That's why they're not agreeing with it either. I think it is foolish, very, very foolish, to look at the AQ model and say to yourself, what would have happened in years past? What would have happened this year? What happens with Notre Dame? Now, some of y'all are going to say, who gives a shit about Notre Dame? They get the only at large. And here's the other thing for me. I've talked about the Big 12. I've talked about the ACC. We're letting a group of 5 opponent in there have an automatic qualifier spot. There has been a massive push by a lot of people in college football that I respect. Some of you don't like Joel Klatt. Here's the truth. I really enjoy Joel Klatt's opinions. I disagree with him on a lot of stuff. I like Joel Klatt. When Joel Klatt gets into football, he's really good at what he does. Now, does he glaze the Big Ten? Yeah, but it's his job to glaze the Big Ten. There's been a massive push by 247 Sports and CBS to be behind the Big Ten in reference to the AQ model, because that's what the Big Ten wants to go to. See, the Big Ten doesn't know if they're always going to have 4 teams that can always get in. They don't know if this scenario like last year's always going to play out. And guys, the conference that this screws the most is the SEC. Guys, think about this. You would have had to have a discussion about Notre Dame versus Ole Miss. One is 11-1 and one is 10-2, and one played in the SEC and the other is Notre Dame. The SEC would be the teams that they have, or Missouri for that matter, who, by the way, in 2023 in their bowl game destroyed Ohio State. Ole Miss destroyed Penn State. So we forget that part. We forget that part. I don't agree with the AQ model. I don't think that college football should ever be in a spot outside of the only thing that I will digress on. The only thing that I'll say, all right, fine. I think that there should be, if you're going to do automatic qualifiers, even though I don't personally agree with this, if you're going to do AQs, fine. Whoever wins the conference champion in each conference gets not a straight seeding, not a bye, not any of that. You get an automatic qualifier to be in the playoff. Fine. You're the champion of that conference. Sounds good with me. Doesn't mean you're the number 1 overall seed. Doesn't mean you're in the top 4. Just means that you have a for sure playoff lock. Guys, fine. If we got to do that, fine. If that's the only part of equality we got to do, fine. But if you're going to move to 16 teams, or even if you're going to move to a 14-team playoff, which seems very likely, I think you got to do the conference champions who win the conference championship game, get an automatic qualifier like you pretty much do in baseball, but you don't have that many divisions that will get it. It's not the same, clearly, as baseball, because the Southern Conference tournament winners not going to get into the college football playoff. Those winners get an automatic bye, go right on ahead. There's no more divisions. You don't have the East and West, where an 8-4 team in the East could win the damn thing, and then look what happens. It's not happening anymore. You got to go to as much at large as you can. The reason being, because 2023, you could have made the easy argument that LSU deserved to be in over Missouri. Well, Blake, what about the record? Well, LSU beat Missouri on the field. Just because LSU lost the SEC champion and just because they lost the ACC champion doesn't equate even close to what Missouri's schedule and what they had to go through. It's not the same. It's not equal. So 10-2 Missouri versus 9-3 LSU. Guys, who's the better team? Well, guess what? Here's the good news. We played it on the field. But with automatic qualifiers, guys, that doesn't exist. So the other models that are loosely out there, the 5+9, so 5 conference champions and then 9 at-large bids, or what the SEC is proposing is 5 plus 11. Guys, I think it's the best overall model because I can take the 12 best teams in being in 2023, Michigan, Texas, Bama, Florida State, Georgia, Ohio State, Oregon, Missouri, Ole Miss, Penn State, Arizona, LSU. That, to me, seems like what you should go and where you should go. But when you start adding in teams because of automatic qualifiers, like in 2023 or 2024, like Arizona, Oklahoma State, Louisville, SMU, Boise State, and Arizona State, like, guys, Arizona in the Big 12 could have gotten an at-large, or not an at-large bid. They could have been the second team in the Big 12 that got into the playoff. Arizona, who lost to Mississippi State and Zach Arnett. I know that you're seeing a massive push from CBS, Fox to push to those AQs. Guys, if you're going to 16 teams, if you're going to 14 teams, or if you stay at 12, you can do the conference champions if a conference has a championship game and a team wins it, fine by me. Go right on ahead. I'll concede it. I don't think in a 12-game model that is what you should do. I don't. I just don't. I don't think you should do that in a 12-team model. What I do think you should do it for, though, is, and where you could get away from it, would be 14 or 16. But, guys, I know that sometimes I come off as an SEC homer. But it doesn't matter about the SEC or Big Ten. Replace the Big Ten with the SEC if they have 5, 6, 7 teams, because they're going to be bitching that they can only get 4 in and 1 at large. Maybe. They will be bitching about that exact fact. They will be. Playing games, fine, do playing games. Great. Let's play it on the field. And then that way, at the end of the regular season and championship games, fine. We've seen this shit play out on the field. But you're not going to convince me. You can't convince me that those teams deserve what some other teams in the Big Ten and SEC have done. You cannot do that. Now, Blake, Arizona State almost beat Texas. Gus Vandy almost beat Texas. Texas is not the litmus test of what you should look at for anything when it comes to how up and down they played against their opponent. Guys, they won by 3 against Vandy. 3. They played up to Georgia, went into overtime in the SEC championship game with them. Played up against Ohio State and massively played down against Arizona State. It's who they were all year. You got to look at all the other years and what is going to continue. Guys like SMU, well, Blake, that game was close against Penn State. Guys, no, it wasn't. The final score might indicate that it was closer than maybe you thought it would be because they got their asses whooped. Because Penn State put an ass beating. Penn State put an ass whooping on both Boise State and SMU when you go back and you watch those games. Because Ken Jennings threw 3 picks in the first half. He had 5 total turnovers in the first 20 minutes of the game with fumbles and interceptions. And I'm supposed to come out here and say to all of you, hey, guess what? Oklahoma State, SMU, all those teams, because they have better records than you, deserve to be in the playoff. No, they don't. No, they do not. Louisville in 2023. Oklahoma State in 2023. Those teams don't deserve to be there. They don't deserve it. So anybody who believes that, and especially if you're an LSU fan, if you don't believe that this doesn't impact you, guys, what would have happened in 2023? You could have made the easy argument, the very easy argument. Hey, Missouri can't be at 9 in the playoff. We clapped them ever living. We beat them. We have a tougher schedule than them. Sports is not about equality. It's not. Sports always is and always will be to figure out who is the best. When did sports stop becoming about what is who is the best? When do we stop with that? You mean to tell me that you would want the big tall tree at Oklahoma State that was at quarterback over Jaden Daniels in your playoff? You're a damn fool. You're a damn fool. Here's another thing that it does. Guys, I'm not trying to disrespect SMU at all or any of these teams. Could you imagine a playoff game at home in Baton Rouge? What teams in the SEC and the Big Ten go through is not equal to what the ACC and the Big 12 have to go through now. And what bothers the shit out of me is that for example, if Clemson starts off the season and beats LSU, or if LSU starts off the season and knocks off Clemson, and at the end of the year, LSU's 9-3, just throwing that out there, and Clemson gets an automatic bid because they won a conference. Because you know you can beat Clemson. What if Clemson's 2 losses come to LSU and to South Carolina? What if that happens? What if that happens? Are you behind that? Are you behind that? See ya. I don't know. How about this? Let me ask you what you think. In the chat right now, and if you're on podcast, you're listening to the audio, thumbs up, thumbs down. Do you like the at-large playoff or do you like the AQ model? No, David. David brings this up. Let's get to a couple of these. David says giving 4 bids, LSU would still gotten in. No, they wouldn't have. He said, I would like it, but I still don't like it. No, they wouldn't have. Here's who would have been in 2023. Texas, Bama, Georgia, Missouri, or Ole Miss. And an at-large bid, they could have gotten in. But if you're doing 4-4-2-2-1 +1, and the +1 is an at-large opponent. If that's what you're doing, guys, you only have 4 spots. Guys, there were 6 teams in the SEC in 2023 that was 10-2 or better. 6. Somebody's got to get left out. Why would you ever do that if you're the SEC? Why would you ever do? Why? It makes no sense. It makes 0 sense. Like, you will never, ever. Well, let me back up. If somebody put a compelling argument in front of my face and said to me, Blake, listen, this is why the AQ model works. I am open into listening. I am very open into listening. Some would say the play-in games act as a precursor to getting teams in. That still does not change at all what you get from the Big 12 and the ACC. It doesn't, guys. And by the way, you're throwing in a group of 5 in there. And here's the truth. Here's the truth. I hate to say it like this, but this is true. Say that you have an at-large team like you did in 2023, a 10-2 at-large team in the SEC. Let's say that Notre Dame is 10-2, 11-1. Now, Notre Dame's got a tougher schedule this year, and you got to give it to them for playing opponents. They're not going to give it to the SEC. They're going to give it to Notre Dame. They're not going to give the fifth team in the SEC a chance over Notre Dame. They're not going to do it. The best thing for LSU, and listen, I do think LSU would go to an AQ model. I think that they would say, okay, cool. They would be idiots to do it. They would be plumb out idiots. It would be a joke for anybody in the SEC ever to say that we agree to having 4, and then if you go to 16, a +3 model. Now, if you went to 16 teams and you did a plus at large 3, maybe. But our goal in sports is to find the best teams. We're trying to structure things like the NFL. Guys, the NFL has 32 teams. 32 teams. You have 300 plus. You literally have 10 times that. Literally. Teams that legitimately, technically, because of the group of 5 scenario, guys, Tulane can make a playoff. Tulane could go undefeated in their conference and be the highest group of 5 and make the playoff. Guys, speaking of 2023, they played USC in the Cotton Bowl and won. They likely would have been in the playoff had this model been there. It's just the truth. I am not okay with allowing other conferences to get teams in. I'm not. I think you need to earn it. I don't think Oklahoma State, as an example, should be able to lose to South Alabama 33-7 and then lose to Central Florida 45-3. And then we just sit here and say to ourselves, yeah, that's equality. Yeah, that team deserves to get in. I'm not there, man. I'm not there. Nor do I ever really believe that you should. Listen, I say this as a debate. I am not calling anybody out, but I love Josh Pate. Great guy. He's always came when we went through Hurricane Ida. The dude was wonderful to me. Wonderful to me. Love him to death. He loves the AQ. It's probably one of the biggest, if not the biggest thing I ever disagreed with him on. Joel Klatt. Guys, I like Joel Klatt a lot. You don't have to, but I do. He's for the AQ model. I don't think that – I think they're wrong. Call me an SEC homer. Call me a Big Ten homer. Guys, me and Joe are on Big Ten radio once a week. Our show is on Big Ten radio once a week. I would want more Big Ten teams just as much as SEC teams to get in. This isn't an SEC argument. This should be a Big Ten and SEC argument. And if the Big 12 and ACC have years where they produce really good teams, like Florida State a couple of years ago, then by all means, hell yeah, put them in. Please, dear Lord, put them in. There's just no way that we can be in a situation where we think that the at-large is not the best way to go. I'm not there. Again, I can be convinced, but I'm not there. And I've heard the arguments. I listened to Pate's argument. I listened to Joel Klatt's argument, and I still massively disagree with him. They say it would be the worst thing for the sport. Worst thing for the sport for what? In my humble opinion, the worst thing for the sport is allowing a team into the playoff because of equality when they don't deserve to be there. If we're being honest, Every time you expand the playoff, the regular season takes a hit. Guys, Ohio State won a national champion. That's great. Or national championship. That's great. Guys, in years past, them losing to Michigan would have been a massive death blow to them. Massive death blow. That we got in years past. The bragging right of keeping Ohio State out. That doesn't exist in college football anymore. Guys, South Carolina going on the road and beating Clemson meant nothing. It meant nothing. So say whatever you will. Say whatever you want. I hate it. Andrew Paul Martin says, I care for neither model. I've always been anti-expansion. Me and you both agree. And I feel proven right from all of the discourse. It's time to shrink the conferences and the playoffs. Paul's up. I'm right there with you. I would have gone, if you were going to expand, listen, I do think the perfect number is 8. I do think the perfect number is 8. The reason it's 8 is because when you have a situation where you have multiple conferences, like guys, SEC and Big Ten can have an undefeated and a 1-loss, maybe 2-loss team. Maybe. You eliminate some of that and you let the best teams all year duke it out. The problem with that is it does dilute Ohio State losing to Michigan. Every time you expand it, guys, if you go to 32, guys, you're always going to be in the playoff. You go to 24, you're always going to be in the playoff. You as LSU. You'll always be in there. Don't have a massive collapse and you'll be in there. I hate it. Dylan says, bring the BCS selection computer back for top 4 at-large teams that didn't make the cut. All right, we're about to go to a break, but to his point, ironically enough, I thought that Brian Kelly had the best overall solution. Selection committee along with the RPI. I do think selection committees have too much bias, but man, you have and he's not talking about BCS, he's talking about RPI, where strength of schedule is a big deal. Because the reason that RPI works in some capacity for baseball is it doesn't allow you to play shitty opponents a lot and get in. Because your RPI will be down. So yeah. All right. Let me take a quick break. We'll come back. One more thing I want to touch on West Virginia. Got some LSU football things we need to discuss, so we'll get to that as well. Everybody do us a favor, hit the like and share. Let me pay some bills. We'll be right back. Hey, guys, I want to tell you about our good friends over at Red Stick Financial. They're your local residential mortgage broker located right here in the heart of Baton Rouge, Louisiana. At Red Stick Financial, they find the bank that works for your particular set of needs to purchase the home of your dreams or refinance the current one. They truly are your partners in this process, and they pride themselves in helping individuals and families with one simple goal in mind, and that is to make home financing approachable, attainable, and stress-free. They are licensed in all Louisiana, Texas, and Mississippi. So from Amarillo to Meridian and everything in between, they have you covered. Red Stick Financial brings you creative, customized solutions, and they don't believe in the one-size-fits-all when it comes to loans. They even have special options for mobile and manufactured homes located in a flood zone and stated income financing for those of us who are self-employed borrowers. If you or someone you know is looking to buy a home, refinance an existing mortgage, or simply want to know what options are out there for your future, give Red Stick Financial a call today at 225-407-9250. That's 225-407-9250. Or check him out online at redstickfinancial.com. That's redstickfinancial.com. Before you purchase the home of your dreams or you go and do that refinance, you need to go local. Go Red Stick.
Guys, I want to talk to you about our good friends over the Drake Williams Law Firm and Drake Title Company. Are you facing tough times due to an injury from a car accident, navigating the complexities of divorce, or purchasing a new home? At the Drake Williams Law Firm and Drake Title Company, they understand the challenges you're going through, and they are here to help. The lawyer team of Ernie Drake III, Ryan J. Williams, and Summer Vignair, along with Morgan Daniels, have the experience and proven track record to give you that peace of mind. Give them a call today at 985-386-7600. That's 985-386-7600 to schedule a free consultation at their brand new office located in historic downtown Ponchatoula. They're also doing a special, the AYS special. If you're refinancing or closing on a home in Southeast Louisiana, request the Drake Title Company to handle your closing. If you mention Blake Ruffino and AYS, you're going to receive a $400 discount on title fees. Again, give them a call at 985-386-7600. Let them know that Blake Ruffino sent you on by. Hey, Southwest Louisiana, are you ready to gear up for your next outdoor adventure or tackle that next big job on the farm? Then head on over to Henderson Tractors, Boats, and Power Sports. At Henderson and Lake Charles, they've got everything you need under one massive 30,000 square foot indoor showroom. Kubota tractors and mowers to power through the toughest tasks. Polaris off-road bikes and side-by-sides to conquer any trail. And tracker boats with brands like Ranger, Nitro, Sun Tracker, and Regency pontoons for a day out on the water. Whether you're a farmer or a hunter or just someone who loves the great outdoors, Henderson has what you need to get the job done and have fun while doing it. Browse their new and used inventory over at their website, hendersonimplement.com. That's hendersonimplement.com. Or give them a call today at 337-436-4366. That's 337-436-4366. Or go see them over in Lake Charles on the corner of East McNee Street and Highway 14. Remember, if you need a tractor, go to Henderson. Need a boat? Go to Henderson. Or if you need an ATV or side-by-side, you know where to go. Henderson. Just let them know that your good friend Blake Ruffino over at AYS sent you on by.
Speaking of narratives, I saw this today. Everybody is focusing in on West Virginia, as we should be. In the lock-in of West Virginia, what I've noticed in some of the content being put out is that it's only been focused on what they did this past weekend at the regional. Now, I do think it's very important to look at what West Virginia did in the past regional versus Clemson, Kentucky, etc. What I also think is very important is for us to look at exactly what happened with them the entire season. Guys, they will do everything. They are going to get on the base pass, and if they think that they have an advantage, they're going to run. They're going to run. They're going to play small ball. Do not get it twisted. They have shown all year that they will play in any style that they see fit that helps them win. You know why they didn't play small ball against Kentucky? They didn't need to. Guys, they scored 12 runs in their final game. They didn't need to. Why would they do that? So I look at West Virginia and say, don't let that regional fool you. Don't let it fool you that this team can be dangerous. The Griffin Kyron kid, Kern, however he pronounces it, he scares the shit out of me. He scares the outright shit out of me. We have not hit left-handed pitching good all year. What makes me think that we're going to start now? Now, can we and should we? Maybe. Yeah. Because lefties have given us problems for a while, not just this season. They are athletic. They are talented. They got really good arms because they're a good team. They're a really good team. I don't understand. Now, one thing is for sure. if you allow them free bases, you allow them walks, guys, they're going to beat you. They're going to beat you because they will put pressure on you with small ball, delay steals, whatever they need to do. And they're going to do it. They're going to do it. They are really good at the plate at identifying balls and strikes. And if you're not in the zone, here's what I would rather. This past regional, I would have rathered for there to have been a situation where if Little Rock was just going to beat us, hit the ball all over the park. Throw the son of a bitch right over the plate. Stop walking them. If you're going to lose, well, lose, but don't walk 3 guys in a row. Put the ball right over the plate. Make them hit it. Make them hit consistently 100. And if they do it, great. You can't beat yourself. They're going to put pressure on you, and you better be ready for it. All right. Last but not least, before we get out of here, need to say this. So last night, my good friend and I, Carter Bryant, got in a debate. He brought the debate in. I did not bring this debate in. He brought the debate in. And I want to end something and clarify something. Uh-oh. Am I frozen? Are we frozen on here? We went the whole show with hardly any internet issues, and then here we go. Thumbs up in the chat if you're with me. This isn't good. Thumbs up in the chat if you're with me. Oh, no, this isn't good. This isn't good at all. Nobody's giving me a thumbs up in the chat.